Hi, Fashion Dolls. It is simply Saturday, April 30th, and welcome to another new episode of Style by Stevie. Our very special guest today is an actor, very successful, and you might have seen him on a few hit plays such as Pipeline and Thoughts of a Colored Man. Joining me today, ladies and gentlemen, we have Bjorn Dupaty. And tomorrow we have Elijah Nickleby. He will be joining us tomorrow as well. Ladies and gentlemen, Bjorn Dupaty.
Hello?
Hi, happy
Hey, can you hear me
welcome
okay?
to Dollhouse.
Thank you. How you doing?
I'm doing excellent. It's such a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you. It's such a pleasure to be had, be on the show.
So before we get into this interview, how has 2022 been for you thus far? Because I know we've had some ups and some downs, and I know you did Thoughts of a Colored Man, which
Mm.
was a show traveling and things. And I know it's difficult being away from your family with this pandemic going on. So how's 2022 been for you thus far this year?
Uh, wow. So starting from 2022, I would say, I don't know, it's been very peaceful. That's all I could say. It's been very peaceful. Thoughts of a Colored Man, I guess, was technically still in 2021. Um, so like going into the new year, it's just been like at ease and a lot of peace. Um, did another project a little bit ago at the Huntington Theater up in Boston. Um, yeah, it's just been at ease. I've been learning to like not extend myself that much energetically. I know before the pandemic, that's like my energy was like trying to go out and get it, like get it, and hustle, do that hustle thing. And yeah, I'm learning to like sort of take a step back, allow things to come to me, be in my own alignment, listen a little bit more. So it's been a little bit more joyous. Like the journey has been, it's a lot more joyous when you don't feel like you're trying too hard, and you have to work too hard.
Right. And it's all about balance because, like I said, I know it's difficult with you traveling and doing shows and being away from the family. How have you
Yeah.
been managing with that?
Well, that's the thing. Like I'm learning like the new definition of like partnership, like what that really means, you know what I mean? And not just like romantically, but like even with family, right? So like, to keeping up with family, talking with family. I spent most of my time during the pandemic in Chicago, which is actually where I'm at right now. I came home because my mama wanted to go on vacation, so I got to go come home and watch the dog. Uh, so it's just that was the first time I've been at home with my family since I don't know, college, grad school, like at least that long, like living with my family that long. So, it just gave me a great opportunity to like reconnect with them in a new way because technically I don't know them, they don't know me, then, like we grow, we change. And so they don't know me the way that I am as a man now. They know me as BJ, that's what they call me, BJ from when I was a kid and younger. So it's just been like it was great to like reconnect, and now we talk a little bit more, we communicate a little bit more, which has been great because like I think the pandemic taught us all like what's really important, which is like the family, the community, the people that's in your life, not the things that we're doing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you spoke about journey. So let's get into it. Let's open the storybook and
Yes.
tell us, how did the journey for Behind Ducati begin as an actor?
Oh wow, that's so I didn't grow up doing artistic things at all. Like my family is more of like not blue collar, white collar workers. Um, no one did anything artistic. So did not have a clue, did not have any knowledge of what was going on. And so I stumbled. but I did grow up doing martial arts, and that there was a performative aspect to that, right? So there was a performative thing to that. So I felt like when I found theater, which was in college, I'm a young father. I was around the time I had my son. I was 20 years old, and I was looking for an outlet. And I was something was just like, hey, let's just take this acting class because we're introverted person. So it was that whole thing of like, maybe it'll teach me to become a little bit more extroverted. And what I discovered was something so much more like, yeah, you can say I caught the theater bug, but it was more so I needed that. I like, especially as a black man, it was like I needed self-expression. I needed to be allowed to show different emotions. Like it was all this stuff that was going on inside of me, and I had nowhere to put it. So theater gave me that place, and people around me started to see that, and they just kept inviting me back. They were like, hey, because at the time I was actually a pre-med biology major, believe it or not. And so they was like, hey, come back. Don't you want to be in this play? Do you want to do this project? You want to do this? And I was like, yes, 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 I'll take it. Like I was just totally in love with it, to the point where my frat brothers was like, man, you don't even come around us no more. You're like always in the theater. And which I actually took it as a compliment. I was like, yeah, I'm in the theater. And then there was this woman named Ziva Barzell Canali. She joined, I went to a school called Bradley University. It's in Peoria, Illinois. And she came along and she was like, hey, what are you still doing here taking these classes? Why don't you just go to grad school? I was like, they got grad schools for this thing? They're like, she's like, yes, fool, go off to grad school. I'll help you. And, they pay for you to go to these schools. And so that winter, I, did the whole grad school thing. I got into a few schools. I chose Rutgers as the place I wanted to go. Immediately when I went there, I knew, I was like, oh, these are the type of actors they're doing the type of work I want to do. And, did that the 3 years, and I decided to stay in New York versus coming back to Chicago. So, and then, I don't know, it's been a roller coaster of a ride ever since. That was like in 2008. And it's been a journey.
Cooking off ever since.
Yeah.
So you've landed two of my favorite television shows, which is Sleepy Hollow and The Blacklist, which are two very hot, popular television shows.
Really? That was one of your favorite shows?
Yes, and I hate the sci-fi took it off. I wish they would bring it back.
No, it was such a
Reboots
good show.
like bring it back. So before
Yeah.
we get to those two shows, who's some of your favorite actors that you looked up to and admired throughout your career?
Mm. Well, obviously Denzel Washington. I think it just like goes without saying, right? He's like the godfather of of actors. Whether you like him or appreciate it, like I feel like he, at least growing up, he was always the one that was out front and center, right? Like he was the one. I'm not going to say that was given the opportunity, right? Because he earned it as well, but he was the one to be on that platform, and he represented us well. So of course him. Um, I would have to say there's a lot. So Samuel L. Jackson, only because he like treats it as a job. Like he comes from that old school, like I work and I get up and I go to work, and it's something I respect about that. That it's less about a celebrity thing and more so about getting up and putting on your hard hat and going to work and doing your thing. But then like some people that inspire me, I, like the Don Cheadle comes to mind. Um, I'm really liking that kid on Snowfall. Like I'm really liking the new generation. Jonathan Majors really inspires me. Like lately, I just love what he's doing. Who else? And let me not forget some women too, because they be getting me too. So like obviously Viola.
Yes.
And some people I don't know their name, but like when I see them, I'm like, damn, like you. Like there was whatever that TV series that was on Hulu with Kerry Washington. It was like them being in Cleveland with her daughter or something like that. And it was the young girl who played her daughter and the young girl who played Carrie in the like flashback scenes. I was like, man, these young girls are just doing it. Dominique Fishback, love her. I get inspired by so many people because I feel like we're the whole crew of Atlanta. Like that's just like my show. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I actually know Brian. Um, but like I just find it, we get to start showing the many nuanced complexities of us. It's not just one thing anymore. And I'm
Right.
just loving all the new voices that are kind of in the world, you know? So yeah, yeah.
It's so many coming up in this new generation, especially as you mentioned, Snowfall. Like I think the actor's name is Damson. I think his name is
Damson,
Damson.
yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Yes. And he's doing an excellent job, and so many others and others to come. So we speak about legacies. Where do you see your legacy? And if you could do an autobiographical story,
Mm,
um, God rest in peace to Chadwick Boseman. He did two historical biographies. Who
yeah.
would you channel you in a story about your life?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm not sure. I think that's I think as an artist, it's a ever growing process, right? Like and you're constantly learning. And I do feel like I'm in this new phase of my life where like what's been really important is really telling authentic stories that portray Black men honestly, right? Just the nuances of that. So, I'm sure we're going to get into it, but like Thoughts of a Colored Man was like one of those projects where it's like, oh, I get to be authentically me, not only in this rehearsal room, but on stage. Um, I think it will, whatever is story, I would like to, part of my dream is to, start creating content myself. And I think part of that is giving that complexity, especially as like Black men and Black men as fathers, the capacity to love as that. Like my son is 20 years old. It's a whole different world. Him being that old, he's like practically a grown man now. But like the journeys of that and the nuances of that. So I don't know who I would play. I don't really have that, but I know it has something to do around family. I know it has something to do with generational. Like one of my favorite plays that I love to do is Pipeline by Dominique Morisseau. That speaks to that, like that speaks to that generational uh, communication between father and son, and
Yeah.
like what is that? Because yeah, it's like, and I'm stuck in the middle of it now, right? So I have my father and his mentality from like the 1960s, right? And you have me, and then you have this new generational kid that was basically born, what, 2 months after 9/11, right? So like that's, you know what I mean? Like it's a whole different span of worlds here. And I just think there's something interesting about talking about how we can bridge the gap between us as people, us as Black people, and us as Black men, especially. So something around there. It's percolating, but yeah, yeah.
Okay. And you're very vocal, as I can see, as well as myself, about, creating ventures for us as creators of color,
Hmm.
actors, directors, producers.
Hmm.
Thoughts of a Colored Man. And there's also one, shout outs to Renaissance Jones and Ron Royster, who are also actors. They did one called Who Do Men Talk To? And it
Mm.
talks about Black men and mental health. But
Hmm.
Thoughts of a Colored Man, in a way, is similar to that one as well, too. So tell us, what was it like? What was it like getting that call to be a part of that ensemble cast? Because you guys had the Real Housewives of Atlanta cast come out to the
Man,
stage play, and that was huge.
yeah,
And they're returning sometime this Sunday, so shout outs to the ladies of that. So
absolutely.
what was that experience like, being a part of the cast and getting called
Yeah.
casted?
Yeah, well, you're first of all, yeah, shout out to the ladies, especially Candy, who was one of the major producers on the show, because I think we were successful because of like all the work though. And as always, it takes a team, it takes a community, but as
Yeah,
always, black women always step up for us, and they are all just, she was powerful. Because every show that I would like sometimes ask people like, "Oh, where you coming from? You came to see our show. Where you coming from?" We coming from Atlanta, and so we have all these people that were coming from Atlanta, and I think it was directly because of her. But about that experience, that was one of those special experiences that you just know that God was present, like from the beginning. I mean, the director is a good friend of mine who I'm collaborated with before, actually collaborating with again. We're going to do a play in DC this coming May, in a few weeks, called Hot Wing King by Katori Hall, Pulitzer Prize winning play at Studio Theater DC. We'll talk about that later. But anyway, so getting the call from him, who I love working with, he is an incredible leader. His name's Steve Broadnax III. Incredible leader because he knows how to bring a room together where everyone feels heard, everyone feels listened to, right? And so then, as the group came together, all these black men, because it's a black man director, black man playwright, is 9 of us actors, 7 main guys, 2 of us understudies, and the authentic space that we created for ourselves, the space to be safe, to share, um, like the bond and brotherhood that was formed there, where anything could be said and there was no judgment in the space around it. And I think that's what most people responded to when they came and saw the show, that they saw the bond and the love for each other that extended outside of just doing a play, right? Because you could do a play and it could be good, but there was just something very special about that. And I took so much from, I mean, I was an understudy on the show. I got to go on quite a bit. Like, I think I performed in over like 30 shows, just, COVID and things like that. And but it was just so special because of that group of us together, doing it for something bigger than just, oh, we're on Broadway. It wasn't just a Broadway show. It wasn't just there. You spoke of legacy before. I think that was a legacy moment, not only just for like us as individuals, but like Black theater community, because they said it wouldn't work, and also they bring in Broadway back with all these Black shows, what I'm saying, and we don't know how it needs to function. We didn't know how it needed to function with COVID being there and the stress of that every day of like, we can't get sick, and to like go through that, all of that, and the effect that we had on people. And I think they said that we were 50% 50% of the house was always Black people every night, which was like actually unheard of on Broadway. They were like, Black people came out all the time. We were 50% of the house every single night. So, they said it couldn't happen. They say we couldn't be successful. And of course, once again, as always, we prove them wrong. So, yeah, it was, but all I can say is, as Steve would say, look at God. That was a special, special time. Yeah.
How does it feel when you're standing up and you're doing this piece, this masterpiece of work right here, and you see
Hmm.
a whole crowd of nothing but people that look like you, that are coming to see you, and just see such an amazing trailblazing play, such as Thoughts of a Colored Man? Because I mean, Dylan Burnside from Coles was in there,
Yes.
so many others. It was an ensemble cast of black
Yes.
men. How does it feel knowing when that curtain closes and you guys take your bow, final act, and everybody you see out there is a person or persons of color? How does
Hmm.
that feel for you in that
It was one of those moments where it felt like, oh, thank you, God, because this is what you wanted me to do, right? This is why you let me, like, it's those moments where you're like wondering, why am I still in this business? You might have some doubts or something like that, and then you do projects like that and you go, ah, yes, this is what it was all the suffering days or the hard days. This is what it's about. And like I will tell you, like, honestly, when that curtain came up or the lights came up during curtain call, what really struck me the most was that majority of the nights it was always standing ovation. And I would specifically look around to the black men in the audience, and a lot of them were holding back tears, right? They're like holding back tears. They are like applauding, or they are looking you dead in your face, going like essentially, thank you, like thank you. Because what I recognize and what I connected to this play was that I'm finally getting to see myself on stage authentically, right? There's nobody like playing at being me. Like, and there's these seven men on stage, and pieces of them are in me, you know. And so, like, I know that that was part of the perspective for them, and actually, also, black women would say the same. They would say, like, yes, I might not be a black man, but I saw myself up there too. I saw myself represented. I saw myself like, and now also, I think, and I heard many women say this, I understand my husband a little bit more. I understand my son a little bit more. Let me try some different things with them. I'm gonna come hey, some of the housewives was like, I'm gonna bring my son to this show. Like I remember that distinctly. Like they were like every and just but also just the galvanizing and also just the other half of it just feeling like you're doing a show for family, right? The commonalities, those bonds, those things that we just know inherently know as black people, and you just you could just see yourself reflected on stage, and you're laughing because it's funny, but you're laughing because you recognize the commonalities, right? Like those
moment?
things that you just find in common, and you're just like, ah, yes, I did that too. And so yeah, that but yeah, special because of what we gave to people. And I know I would say, you asked me earlier, like, what had me get into this? And it was never about entertainment. It was always about how can I affect the world? And early on, that's the reason why I made this decision to go into acting. And then, and I know, so fast forward to this project, I know we had an effect on the world. And so it was extremely fulfilling for me. Yes, it was on Broadway, but the impact was so much deeper.
And we have a question from one of our audience members. She's a singer, songwriter in the New York area, Liz. She wants to know what different abilities are your strengths in different platforms such as stage, film, and small screen.
Can you say that one more time? Sorry.
What different abilities are your strengths in different platforms such as stage, film, and small screen?
um, what different abilities? Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting to say. Okay, okay. Different about well, I would say like I have a strength of commitment to whatever I'm
Mm.
doing. Um, to I would say a strength of mine is my vulnerability. Like I'm kind of I'm not an actor that's afraid of like going there. I never like even for instance, for example, I'll give you an example. In doing the play in Boston, The Bluest Eye was a play. I don't know if you're also familiar with the book. So I'm
Jordan.
playing Charlie, and of course, there's the scene where he has with he sexually assaults his daughter, and that doesn't make me afraid to fully commit to something like that, right? Because it's even though I can't personally relate to that,
Right.
but I can relate to the truth, right? I can relate to truthful moments and playing those full out. I don't get scared of like what people are going to think of me. I kind of like dive head in. Um, my family, who I know some of them are logged on, they would say I'm extremely funny on stage. I'll let them say that. Um, but I think I do have a facility to like with humor, um, vulnerability, connection, um, and just bringing that to bringing really committing to bring character to life and as authentic and nuanced as possible. Anytime I'm looking at a character, I'm thinking like like more beyond the page. Like who would he vote for? Like what is his sexual preference? If it's
Right.
not even if it's not something a part of the script, like what are those little nuances that make them human? Because I always want to present humanity on stage. And I think through humanity, people can can see themselves. So I try to make myself more of a vessel. Um, on camera, I don't know, like camera stuff. That's like such a director editor's medium. Uh, so I don't, and I haven't worked in it consistently enough to know where my strengths and weaknesses are in that. Well, nobody said weaknesses, but my strengths are in that realm. But I know I can fill up I can fill up a stage in a theater. I do know that energetically. I know I bring it on stage. I'll admit that.
And we have another question. How does that moment of nerves right before you get on stage serve you to bring your characters to
Well, if it scares you, you're on the right track, right? That's how I feel. Like if it scares you, I'm never even if I feel like it's going like I think it's going to go well, I'm still yeah, those nerves are always there. I just try to focus on the what for, right? The why I'm here. What are we going to tell in this story? So I use it to energize. And as my friend Steve Broadnax would say, at the end, it should feel like it cost you something, right? And I think that's really what the nerves are about. It's like, because it's an energetic thing, right? I think they say like if you're like the lead of a show and it's a heavy show, it's almost equivalent to energetically putting out as if you were running a marathon, right?
life?
So like like you are energetically expending so much energy. Um, so I think that's the nerves for me is that do I have the courage to be vulnerable again? Because we don't do this 8 times a week. So I know it went well that opening night, and I know it went well on that Friday night when the audience was there and we were all buzzing. But like, do I have the energy to be authentic and give my all on a Tuesday? Do I have the energy? And I think that's where the nerves and um, a friend of mine that I was working with, she gives herself the actually took this on. She gives herself the what is it, the oath when you get on stage? I mean on the stand if you were in court, she said, "Do you promise to tell the
Mhm.
truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?" And she says that to herself before going on stage. I was like, I kind of like that. Like it's kind of like a declaration to yourself of like, hey, Bjorn, do you promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth on this stage? I do. Let's go, you know. But the nerves are, I think it's a part of it. It's a good thing.
And it drives you to bring all that passion outside of you onto this act, into the character.
Absolutely. And then you never, I think the nerves also adds to like the the unpredictability of being in live theater, right? Like something new can happen because of those nerves. You know, you could discover, that's where discovery happens, you know. You know, you just try to breathe through it too, though. But yeah, yeah.
And we have two questions. What upcoming projects are you excited about? And that is from Tanix.
Oh,
And
yeah.
another one from Liz. What is your why in becoming an actor? Ooh, hi, K Will.
Yes, yes. Beautiful people. Hey. Um, my starting with the first one, my why of becoming an actor is um I believe the world can be changed through storytelling. As we all know, nobody likes to be dictated to, right? This is why we don't really like politicians, like just in general. Like we just don't really like politicians because nobody likes to be dictated to. Um, and speaking of going back, right, as Black people, if we're going back to Black oral traditions or African oral traditions, we taught the next generation through storytelling. That's where the griots, right? The people who held the stories of the community, of the tribe, and we passed those along. And in those stories are learning lessons. And so I feel the same way here is that and that's why I find my purpose is like, oh, I can shift people through storytelling. And it, you know, it might be subtle and it's not necessarily manipulative, but it's just saying that I can have an effect on the world. And I do believe the world can change through the stories that we tell, right? And those can be powerful, whether good or bad. I mean, look at how many things have shifted in the world due to storytelling, like through the lens of like you speak of Chadwick Boseman, like how powerful was that to see him as Black Panther, as well as the other roles. Don't get me wrong, as like as uh uh my man 42
Hank Aaron.
baseball, not Hank Aaron. Damn, why am I drawing a blank? It's not Hank Aaron. Uh, he was the first Black baseball player. Somebody help us out in the chat. I'm
Babe
drawing a
Ruth.
blank right now. No, no. Anyway, but like, you know, but to see him show up and like even as Black Panther and the effect of that on screen was like I remember just watching YouTube clip videos of like kids reacting to
Mhm.
just the image of that, right? So sometimes it's not even just completely the story, but just even the image of that. Jackie Robinson. Thank you, Nikki. Uh, it was Jackie Robinson. Um, so yeah, like I think that is the purpose, and like that's my purpose. That's my why of like why I stay in it. Um, and then so upcoming project, I think I mentioned before, I'm doing Katori Hall's. Katori Hall is also the woman who created P Valley on Stars. So I know that 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 show is about to
Pastor Ian
draw.
Polk as well. Yep.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. It's, you know, season two is coming. I'm really excited. That's one of my favorite shows. But she also wrote this show, Hot Wing King, that actually was going. It had its run in New York, going into the pandemic, and unfortunately got shut down during the pandemic at the very early. But it was up long enough for her to win the Pulitzer Prize for that play. I think it's very personal to her because I think it has to do with her family and the capacity for as I heard Steve Broadnex talk about it. He was like, the capacity for Black men to love is really displayed in this play. And so I'm like, I really wanted to be a part of that production going into the pandemic before it was at the Signature Theater. But I went and saw it and I loved every moment of it. So I'm really excited that I get to be a part of this production in DC. So that's like the one thing. And after that, we'll see. You know, that's part of the ebbs and flows of being an actor is like sometimes you know what the next job is, and sometimes you're just open and seeing what the universe brings to you after that. But that will go at Studio Theater. I think it opens up late June and it goes through to July 31st. And if we get extended, it'll be there until August 15th. So.
All right, you guys just have to stay tuned. We have another question. You mentioned Black Panther, great and powerful captain. Which superhero would you be and why? Choose one that we do not know. Great question.
Great question. Uh, Spawn. There's this
Michael Jai White. Mhm.
Yeah, Michael Jai White back in the day. He's kind of billed as an anti-hero because, Spawn is technically the full term is Hell Spawn. So he's like, kind of in lockstep with I guess you can say the devil a bit. I'm not too familiar with the comic lore, but if I was always like attracted to, like I said, it's always about nuance for me. Like, I don't believe anyone is all the way good or all the way bad. I think we are a mix of all within us. And Spawn is a Black man. Uh, and there is an element of the spiritual battle in himself as he takes on that superhero cape, right? Because he actually, before he died, spoiling shit for people who don't know, but before he died, he wasn't a good man. So it's like, to me, I feel like there's an inherent journey of a spiritual battle. Now, the creator of Spawn is a white guy, so I don't know if that's his vision for that character. I think his name's Todd McFarlane or something like that. But that's what I got from it as I was watching, and I read a few of the comic books when I was a kid. And then it's just cool. Like, it's just he's got cool powers and all that. And you spoke of Sleepy Hollow. I got to be like a warlock on that episode, and just having like powers and to see what they could do on screen. I swear I was running when it aired. I was running through my apartment as if I was watching like a sporting event or something. Like I was because it just seemed so cool to me to be like stopping bullets and doing all crazy stuff, even though it ain't me. It's like special effects, but like just to see the effect of it, it's just cool. It's fun. It's a fun thing.
Yes, and we have another question. Is there any type of role you feel you would turn away from?
I would say in essence anything that doesn't feel authentic to me. And also let me be clear too as well. Like sometimes as actors we can also get a little burnt out. Like I said, this is an energetic thing. We are constantly giving. So first of all, I think self-care is key. And I've burnt myself out working on stage in my life, and to the point where like sometimes there was a few moments during my career that I was like, oh, I actually don't want to act anymore. Like actually going into the pandemic, I was like, oh, I'm as bad as it was, the secret victory for me was like it gave me the break that I needed. Like otherwise, I don't know if I would have stopped. So that's part of it is that I wouldn't I try to listen to myself and see, A, do I connect to this? B, is this the story that I want to tell? And C, do I have the energy to do it? Uh, and if some of those things are out of alignment, I may choose against it. I may be like, ah, this is actually not the right project for me. This might may not be the right time, right? Because anytime where you're like your passion is there for it, like the energy flows naturally to it,
Yeah.
and then that's what like the creative juices gets going as well. And I've had many projects where creatively it was going because I was in line with it. And then some projects was extremely hard because I probably took it for the wrong reasons. And so there's that. But then to speak on a deeper level, like if it doesn't speak to me, I'm not doing it. If it rings inauthentic to me, I think writers are extremely important. I respect what writers do, especially if you can capture people's voices. It's so incredible what they do, and make space for us actors to do. But if it doesn't ring true to me, then I'm out, you know. And then also like depends on the people too. Like it's a lot of factors, but there are a lot of reasons why I would back out of a project.
Okay, we have another question. What do the following words make you feel and why? Expanse, stairs, forest, silence.
Mm. Expands well, expands just makes me think of like universe and how we're all connected. Um, I think this pandemic really made a lot of us, not all of us, but a lot of us realize how connected we are. You know, what was the other one? Stairs. Um, it just makes me think of like continually move forward. I'm actually going to take something from a good friend of mine who's also on Snowfall. Her name's Angela Lewis. She plays Aunt Louie. And she always speaks of the journey as in like walking a flight of stairs, and there's like landing points, right? And she was like, the journey is getting up those flight of stairs, and then you get to a landing point, and know that that new landing point isn't the goal. That's just the new base. And then you're going to continue moving up a new flight of stairs, and you're going
Mhm.
to land at that landing point. So that word brings that to mind. Forest brings my good friend who I worked with on Thoughts of a Colored Man, Forrest McLean. What is it, McLean? I'm probably jacking up his last name, but his name is Forrest. He played Depression. The nights that I went on mostly, I had a lot of scenes with him, and so I would go down to his dressing room, and we would share like conversation as well as share the lines. And just he's just such a powerful performer. I learned so much from him. Such a giving spirit, and just such an example of you know leading by example and also being of service. Uh, and so we had this thing on our board of like, what would Forrest do? Because he was such a shining light for us throughout that process. And silence can be key. Silence is powerful. I think in a world where everyone wants to have a voice, sometimes silence is okay. It's okay. Yeah, I think and even I'm learning that like silence can be okay. Like don't have to say everything, don't have to do everything. I can sit back and let someone else speak. I don't have to have an opinion on everything. I can be silent and learn. I think and be curious, and observe and when the moment is right, you can step up and speak, but you don't have to all the time, you know. And I think that kind of speaks to what I was saying before about not extending energy, but being at oneself, being comfortable and secure in oneself, and letting things happen, but still being ready, you know.
What's your favorite thing to do in New York versus Chicago? And that is from Taniks. And I see a few others coming in. Welcome, Fashion Dolls, Gregarious.
Yes.
I see
Greg, what's
Michael
up, Greg? I
Harris.
see John. I see a lot of friends. Yeah, Greg was the person I took over for the Bluest Eye. He's such an incredible performer. He's out there in LA doing blues for Alabama Sky, I believe. Hey, correct me if I'm wrong, Greg. But anyway, um, what's my favorite things to do in New York? I like going to the parks. I love going to the High Line and walking around. Mainly like sitting in parks though. I love sitting in the parks. I love the free events during the summertime. I'm gonna be a little mad that I'm not there in the summertime again in New York City, because all the free events, and essentially just the people. I think I miss like I anything that involves my friends, my community. I just enjoy. Um, so I know that's not. Oh, but they do have the Freedom Party. That's one thing. If you're acting like very specific, is that in New York they have some group puts on this thing called the Freedom Party, where they basically, you come there, you come to dance now. You are coming to dance, and they are playing music. They are playing the hits from like the 80s, the 70s, 80s, all the way through to today. And so I miss nights like that. Yeah, I think, New York just has the energy of itself. Chicago, man, I have to be honest, it's been so long since I've been in Chicago. I don't know if I have any favorite things anymore. Um, I'm such a homebody that I would say most of my favorite things to do is just to do those things with people. So whatever it is, as long as I'm doing it with like my family, my friends, we could be doing anything. And I enjoy it. I enjoy it a lot.
How important is music to you? And what is your essential for every day?
Um, Essential for every day is that I journal, I meditate, and I do some form of physical exercise. Like doing, I grew up doing a lot of athletics, so it's just kind of ingrained in me to move, and like that movement really helps me mentally. Like so, exercise, yoga, playing some sport or something like that. Anything that gets me out of my mind and into my body, dancing, um, all those type of things really help me get out of my mind. Like I said, meditation that helps slows down my mind and get focused. And journaling, like I have this thing where I label it my real talk journal, meaning like if you can't be honest with yourself, who can you be honest to? And so in my real talk journal, I talk real to myself, you know, and yeah, yeah, and I think that extends to people in my life, but like I think the first person is self. Like I got to be honest with myself, even about the stuff that maybe I don't want to be honest with myself about. I got to be honest with myself, and I spend time in the morning journaling about that. Um, how important is music? How important is music to me? Extremely important. I would say that's like one of my second loves. Like if I could sing, like I mean like really sing, like Maxwell sing, I would be a singer. I love music. My cousin knows this. Like we just vibe out to music. Because it's also a very authentic expression. Like some of these musicians write their own songs, And so I think about that, like writing something that I'm about to share and something, the music that really touches us are those songs that are very, very personal. And I got soundtracks to, these musics are like soundtracks to my life.
Yeah.
Um, I get inspired by music. I use it. I make playlists for characters that I'm playing. Like, what would they listen to? Like, it really is like ingrained in my life, and I think it's powerful. It's not only what we see, but what we hear. I think it was like Saul Williams, the performer. He said, "Be careful of your diet." And he was talking about like what you ingest. He was like, what's the music that you ingest? Not just the food, but like, what are you watching? What are you reading? What are you listening to? Because those things are just as powerful as the food that you put in your body. And so, yeah, I'm very mindful of music. It's extremely important.
Welcome, Fashion Dolls, if you're just coming in. We're about to get into our games with Bjorn. The first one is called the Rapid Fire. And Bjorn, he has to tell me 5 things that he can't live without. And the next one is called Turn the Tables. And this is where my guests get to ask me as many questions as they want to, uncensored and unfiltered. So we're going to start off with the Rapid Fire. You've mentioned music, being in a way for me, and I said this on my show just a few weeks back. I said music is like medicine, it's healing for people,
Mm,
especially during these dark times. We need some sort of solace, some sort of comfort. It calms you, something
hmm
about it. So what are 5 things that you can't live?
5 things that I can't live without. Um, and it's a very vulnerable question. Uh, well, first I will say music. Uh, it's just my go-to. Um, I cannot live without. Now you're going to get into my addictions. I cannot live without sugar. Anybody who knows me knows that I'm like a sugarholic and a dentist dream because I'm just keeping those folks employed. Um, what else? I can't live without my family and friends. I think they are crucial to my life. Um, I cannot live without. I think I can't live without what I do. Like it's so ingrained in like me and giving, and like my purpose in life. Like so, I can't. Like I think it just makes me who I am. I learn so much. I give so much. But I mainly learn so much from this business of being an actor or this artistic pursuit. And then finally, I'm going to say um, it's going to sound cheesy, but love. I can't live without love, in some way, shape, or form. Like I will say, I'm like one of those hopeful romantic types. So, I just love being in partnership and relationship with people, with a person. And I've been blessed to have relationships in my life that have been very meaningful. A lot of them didn't work out, but I've been grateful for the journey with those people, and we'll see what the future holds in that regard. Um, yeah, so that's my 5.
Okay, and I'm glad you said love. And when I thought of that, I said everybody needs it in this lifetime, especially as you mentioned in the beginning, previously in the interview, with us being, socially distanced, away from each other, away
Yeah,
from family. You still want that sense of connection. You still want that sense of um, reconnecting with your family members, your loved ones, your siblings, and so many things. And I'm thankful for that. My show is based on family and friends and having that strong, solid support circle 100%.
yeah, absolutely.
All right, Fashion Dolls, my heart is beating fast. It beats fast every time the segment comes along. but it is time for turning the tables. And this is
Uh-oh.
where my guests get to ask me questions. So I'm going to hand it on over to Bjorn. He's going to ask many questions as
Okay. Well, I'm gonna throw you a softball question. Um, so softball starting is like, what made you create this show, this platform? What was in it for you that um, that made you want to create something like this, have people on and share like with the world, you know?
well. I'll say this first and foremost. I'm a Black woman first.
Hmm.
And uh, I hardly see when I'm watching talk shows. I mean, there's very few and very little out here that represent Black women. I mean, you had Queen Latifah, you had Monique, you had Oprah. I
Hmm.
mean, you had Rolanda Watts. Sherry Shepherd's getting her show in the fall, and
Hmm.
the most controversial Wendy Williams, and then you have some on The View and some on The Real Daytime. The Real is ending after 8 seasons. So I mean, is it 18 seasons? They're ending.
Yeah, something like that.
So
Yeah.
when I wanted a platform where I can showcase the things that I love, that I
Mm,
know people love, like fashion, beauty,
mm.
glamour, uh, music, acting, actors. And it's not only that, but it's informative. So I wanted to do something that people would feel comfortable watching, that they would love, that's not too serious because we got enough seriousness and stuff
Don't
going
we?
on in the world with war. So I just want you, when you
Yeah,
come here to my platform, to relax and just like take that
yeah.
deep breath, that weight off of your shoulder, and not have to worry about a care in the world. And this is just giving people slowly an insight into my velvet rope on so
Mm,
many things that I think on what goes on in the world, or just my take or my perspective, or to hear another person's perspective on things. And to also get some tips on, well, if you want to become the next Denzel
mm,
Washington, as you mentioned, or the next Oprah or whatever. But,
yeah.
that's why I created this platform, because I wanted to show Black girls out here that
Hmm.
it's possible. And I'm not as big as an Oprah yet, and I, don't
I know.
have any intentions to be yet. Whatever happens, happens. But I wanted to showcase Black girls, mainly young Black women and women of color in general, that are watching Style by Stevie,
Hmm.
that you can too, because we live in a patriarchal society
Hmm.
where women of color have been told no for so long.
Mm.
And Monique said this. She said it's sad that a Black woman's story doesn't get told until she's passed on. So
Yeah.
I said, why not create a platform that will leave a legacy? And we are now 330 episodes in. I've been doing this
Hey.
since 2017. I started very young, 24 years old. I'm 28. So, things are coming along full circle.
Absolutely.
And I see my growth, I see my change, I see things that I could work on, that I can improve on. But to see where I'm at now, I'm just like, wow, you made it.
Yeah. And I want to acknowledge you for the journey. Like that's a commitment and I can tell from how you're speaking, like there's so much passion in what you do and like your why. And so I want to acknowledge you for like for creating that for, young Black girls to see that it's possible and to, shoot for their dreams and to also I love this idea of sharing information and because that's what we need to be doing. Like so not only that you can see a person like me or someone or a person like yourself or the people that you bring on and get inspired by them, but they can also share some information about the journey to help the journey maybe be a little bit easier. So yeah, yeah,
I
hats off to
do it.
you. Yeah.
Yes, and I do it in a way that's so lighthearted, where it's not like, okay, if people say, okay, 4 times 5 is 20, they're not gonna get it. I do it in a way that is hip and edgy, that I have
Mm-hmm.
people be like, wow, I've never thought of it. Deep reflection, as you mentioned previously in the interview, sitting back and evaluating things. When Liz asked you the question about, how do you overcome your nervousness and
Mm-hmm.
fear? And for me, I just, whatever a person is thinking, I say it. And not only just empowering Black women, but Black people as a collective, because
Absolutely.
the majority of our audience is African American, or, so diverse. Everybody watches Style by
Yeah.
Style, white, Black, Asian, whoever. And
Whoever. Right.
yes, everyone is welcome here. I call it to my dollhouse. I call my supporters my fashion dolls,
Yes.
and they know that they're close and near to my heart. And I wanted to give them a platform where they can feel comfortable opening up about, because we talk a lot about mental health.
Hmm.
You did talk to the color band. When you brought up depression, I said, okay, this is something that I talk about a lot of on
Mm.
this platform, is mental health, protecting your peace, because I suffer with anxiety.
Sure.
And I try to be a little transparent with people about it. I'm a very private person. I don't put a whole lot out there, you
Hmm.
know, and I think it should be that way. It's your right. If you choose to tell your story, it's your place to tell your story. And that's why I created this platform, so that
Hmm.
actors, Black producers, Black writers, all Black everything, can come on here and give their perspective on
Hmm.
the entertainment biz and so many things. And
Yeah.
the transparency, there's so many things. I'm not responsible for what someone says during their journey,
Sure.
or telling their story. I didn't make them say it. It's their testimony. So
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
excited.
Um, do I have time for another question?
You sure do. And we've got some questions for you as well.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna throw you one and then I'll take one. Um, I always have this thing of like, this is gonna sound a little bit morbid, but like being used up, like basically like, this is a terrible way I put it, but like I've earned my death, right? So you spoke of legacy before. What what do you after you are gone, what is the legacy that you want to like leave behind? What is that thing that you reach heaven and God says, Stevie, thank you, you did that. What do you hope that to be? Like, well, not hope to be. What are you declaring that to be that you will do as we go through this journey of life?
What do I want to be remembered for my legacy? I want to be remembered for having a voice, empowering the Black voice, and
Hmm.
because for us as Black people, as a collective, as people of color, when it comes to telling our stories, we know how the entertainment business, the Oscars, that's a whole different situation. So
Yeah,
many
no,
other
man.
platforms. I want to be remembered for allowing people to come on to tell their story.
Mm,
No judgment, just transparency, no negativity, a place where people can just feel safe and
mm,
welcoming. I've gotten that so many times through some of my interviews that I've done. It's like, oh my God, some of my guests were very nervous,
mm-hmm,
and like, you made me feel comfortable.
mm.
And I didn't even realize I had that power. My mom says you have a gift.
Yeah,
You have a gift. So I want to be remembered for making people feel comfortable with coming to tell their stories. I
mm,
also want to be remembered for being a voice for people of color and standing up for us and calling out when wrong is wrong and right is right.
yeah,
That's something that I also want to do. I'm also a work in progress myself. I hold myself accountable for things that I've done in my past. I can't change the past. However, I can sit back and I can reflect and say, okay, you could have did this different. So
mm-hmm.
that's what I want to remember for.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
You are so welcome. And we have some questions from you from Liz. Now that traveling is open up more and more, where would you want to travel to? And what has tested your commitment to your craft?
Liz be coming with the questions. Who is this Liz? um, Definitely overseas. I think it's just somewhere out of the country. I always think it's I've only been to a few places out of the country, but I think it's always just such a huge growth experience to see how other people are living outside of this world. Um, some of the places like different, obviously different parts of Africa. My one of my plans is to do the African ancestry DNA test, find out where I am actually from, like where my lineage and family comes from, and actually go to that place, right? Maybe even bring my son with me, to like go to like where we actually come from. And then, there's this other places I've never been on like a real like adult vacation. So there is a beach in my future on in somewhere. Um, uh, but yeah, like just getting out and seeing the world a little bit more. I want to go to Spain. I want to go to Japan. I want to go to a lot of places. So that would be, I have a list. Don't get me wrong, I have a list. So I'm gonna check those things off in the near future. Trust me. And what was the other one? What has tested? Um, Time has tested my career. And I say that in respects to, your, ourselves, right? So sometimes we have an expectation of how we think it should go. And trust me, I had many expectations of how I thought my career was going to go directly out of grad school. And so obviously that expectation versus reality is always a test. Um, the trials, like I call my career, and I think everybody's career is this, is it's a roller coaster. There's going to be up times, there's going to be down times. I've talked to people on sets who have amazing careers, and their career follows the same trajectory. We kind of, we don't think about it because maybe some of these celebrities are wealthy, right? Like they have the money, so we kind of take it for granted. But sometimes you be like, damn, I haven't seen that person in about 5 years. And it's like, let's just say that they actually love what they do. They have the money to survive, but they love what they do. But they haven't worked in 5 years. Like we don't we don't know what that possibility, like what goes on for that person to be without the things that they enjoy doing. So, and I've been on set with people and they were like, yeah, I took a 4 year break and nobody told me I was taking a 4 year break. The phone just stopped ringing. And I'm like, ooh, Lord, what? Like you are you, like you are who you are. And they're like, yep, nope, 4 years, haven't worked since. And I was like, damn, like, so it's happening to even you as well. So, I think it's those things. I would just say time and my own expectations have been the biggest test. But like I said, these days I am learning to surrender and in a sense of like letting go of what I think and really being present and enjoying the journey that I am on, right? Because it's like I could want it to be something and miss out on all that's right in front of me, because it's some great things that's happening right in front of me. So,
Money is important. Dare I say some people idolize it. Where does money take place in your life?
well, it's definitely important, right? So I think, like for me, I have a respect of money. I don't idolize it because there are so many things that are more valuable. And truthfully, if you ask anybody, I think there was a study done where there was like a small percentage of people actually just love accumulating actually money. What most people want is the things that money could possibly give them, right? And for me, I guess money has an important value, but it's not that high. Like because what I really enjoy is all the things I've told you already. I enjoy listening to music. I enjoy being with my friends and my family. I enjoy just like doing those small things with people that I love. Um, Simple things. It's the simple things for me. Would I like some more money? Sure. Like always, that would always make things be a little bit less stressful as far as this world is concerned. But the things that I really, really enjoy has nothing to do with money. And when I look back on my life, and I say this to people often, I have these moments where I go, wow, this is one of the best times of my life. And I try to clock it so I can remember it. Like I'm really having a great moment in my life. Um, and 9 times out of 10, a lot of those moments have nothing to do with money. So I try to appreciate those, but I do respect it. You got to respect money. You have to, it is a part of the self-care, making sure your well-being is well, taken care of, that your family's well-being is taken care of, whatever responsibilities that you have are taken care of. So I'm not dismissing it. I'm saying it's a healthy respect and what you say, balance. Have some balance.
That's right. We have one more question from Liz. What kind of actor do you aspire to become?
Well, I think I'm already the actor that I aspire to. I think maybe this question has more to do with like where I see my career going. And I would say um, I would love to continue doing what I do in theater, but also branch more into film and TV. And actually, I think I mentioned before, be more of a creator. So like be more of a person who creates story. Like my dream is actually to write something and produce something that then I can hire all my friends to be in. That's actually my dream. It's not to, be on stage winning some award or anything like that. It's like, oh, what can I create and write that has a great effect on people? One of those films that we still talk about. It didn't win no awards, but we talk about forever ever as part as like our canon, like those things, and like going back to like one of the first questions, like what you admire about certain actors. That was the other thing that I admire about Samuel L. Jackson. I think it was like after he didn't win for one of his performances, he didn't win the Oscar, but he was like, the biggest victory is that I have people run up to me on the street and say lines to the movies that I do back to me word for word. He was like, that is the biggest victory, more than some little statue. And I was like, oh, I get that, like, because you have an effect. When people say, oh, that movie, whether it won or not, whether it made all this money, that's the more powerful thing.
Being able to have that recognition,
Yeah,
people come up to you, love your work, and appreciate your work, and till this day still talk about it.
and
That
still
is
talk
meaningful.
about it.
Hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. One of those. That's to me, that's iconic. Like that's iconic. When you have such an effect on someone that they remember it for years, decades. So that's where I would like to continue um my career. But as far as the actor that I am, I feel like I am the actor that I aspire to be, which I'm very grateful for. Yeah.
And for it. So what's next? You have the Hot Wing King.
Yes.
The last question for you is, what advice would you give? Because I see you're very, very positive, and you're all about empowering Black men and getting Black men, as you mentioned when you did Thoughts of a Colored Man.
Hmm.
Black men literally were trying to fight back tears.
Hmm.
What advice would you give to young Black men who look up to Bjorn or a Denzel Washington or a Chadwick or a Don Cheadle or a Idris Elba? What advice would you give to young Black men who idolize you, who want to become actors?
What advice? Well, first of all, um, and I guess that I say this in general, but like it all starts with your belief, right? So just recognize that where you are today is based off the beliefs, the words and actions you held yesterday.
Mm.
So basically, where you think of yourself tomorrow is actually based off the beliefs, words, and actions you do today, right? So just hold that, remember that you are literally creating where you want to go. And it just starts with your belief. Uh, it's okay to be sensitive. Sensitive doesn't actually mean weak. Uh, it does not actually mean not strong or anything like that. You are a human being. You are full of nuance. Sure, you may need safe spaces to express said thing, but it's not a weakness. You're not less of a man because you have a feeling. You are human, and recognize that you are human, and that is okay too. It's okay to be afraid. It is okay to fall in love. It is
Oh
okay to
yeah.
be hurt. Um, it's what you do after that that matters. Um, and yeah, like so that and what else? Go for it. Just go for it, man. We have one life. Take advantage. Like wherever you are in life, it's okay to start. I was very inspired by this woman who I met. I think she just turned 60 and she was taking a director's class. And I was asking her about her life. I was like, yo, like why are you in school for directing? Like, I did a little research. You're an author, you're a teacher, you're highly successful and already in that. And she was like, oh well, it's my 60th birthday present to myself. I've been on movie sets before where I was the writer, and I always wondered what the director was doing over there. And she was like, well, now I want to do that. And I was like, so the idea that it's over for you is non-existent. Many people get their starts later on in life, but part of it is just going for it, and there's never the only time that it's over is literally when it's actually over. So every day is a new opportunity to start whatever it is you want to do.
Rebirth again. I
Absolutely.
remember my old Instagram page got hacked. I had 3,000 followers, and
Me too. Yours did too. Oh my
yes,
God.
I was devastated, and I remember calling my friend, my colleague, who's also a talk show host as well, too, K Tooks, the K Tooks spot on YouTube.
Hmm.
He said, "Sister, it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay." So everybody was just like, "This is something, a blessing for something greater to come." And for
Yeah.
me, starting over is just like being reborn again, the rebirth, and people see the rebirthing process, the growth,
Yeah.
the change. Your attitude and your looks are different, and it's because I've grown with just that little bit of time. It kind of humbled me in a way.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Same. Are you a Scorpio?
Yes.
I knew it. Only because there's, a part of that sign is such a deep connection to rebirth. The phoenix symbol, I think, is like part of our represents the sign. And there's a lot of like ideas around things dying off and things being reborn, and that constant cycle, that constant circular cycle of things dying off. As Ayanla Van Zandt would say, like trusting the process that there is a fall, winter, spring, summer, and that is an actual cycle that things die, things need to get replanted, things come into full bloom, and things. So that is a full cycle. So yeah, 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 yeah.
We have one more question from you, and it's from Liz. She wants to know, how do you define soul connection?
Wow, Leah's be coming with the deep questions, man. Soul connection. I don't know. It's like I dare I say it's kind of indescribable. Like the only thing that comes up is a quote from a movie that I can't think of. It's like your heart's recognition of its of itself in another person or something like that. Like something like, I don't know, it's such a intuitive feeling thing. Um, you know, it's like when you know without knowing, you know, because I feel that's something, without knowing, I feel like sometimes we put too much on our brain and then and instead of like what we feel or what's going on inside. And I believe someone said the reason why there is like when you say that you had a gut feeling or your
Yeah.
intuition is because actually there is more intelligence that is happening in the center of your body than it actually is happening in your brain, right? So like that, like first of all, trusting in that and allowing that to be seen and connect with others. Um, yeah, it's a knowing without having to know. And I believe that's something they call faith. So it's faith, knowing without knowing.
And that sums that up, faith, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm a firm believer, you put God first in everything that you do. Again, that spiritual realm of just being
Yeah,
in touch with yourself. Absolutely.
yeah.
All right.
Thank you so
So,
much. This has
yes,
been
I
so
had such a
fun.
great time with you here.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I enjoyed this so much.
So, let everyone know where they can follow you, where they can check out the project, hot linking, and so much more.
Yeah, so currently I'm like rebirthing all my websites and things like that. So those are offline currently, but you can follow me at the real underscore Bjorn Dupaty on Instagram. Just like send me a message or something like that where you connected to me from, or like, because I got to be a little bit honest, I was a little bit protective after my Instagram got hacked,
Same
and
here.
so I was putting up all types of like safeguards and things like that, and
Yeah.
being very selective of who I accept, because even I was like allowing people to follow me, and someone duplicated my account, my current one, like picture for picture, word for word, everything. So other people were thinking it's still me, and
It's
they're
it
and
that
they and I'm like, yo, what is going on in this world where people are trying to like trick people? Um, so like, yeah, you can follow me there, or yeah, follow me there, or you can find me on Facebook, or it's just my name, Bjorn Dupaty. And but my website should be up soon, bjorndupaty.com. As and you can go to Studio Theater in DC to find out the dates as far as the show. But I believe it's like late June, the last week in June, all the way through late July, and possibly through August 15th. I'm trying to think of anything else. But yeah, yeah, that's mostly where you can find me.
Liz says, for Sean, I will be requesting you on this platform. The firm approach says, great interview, great discussion. Thank you all so much. Truly,
Yeah,
thank you all. I'm glad you guys all enjoyed this, and I hope you guys take something from this as well. Too.
yeah,
Again, the rebirthing process, healing. We talked a little bit about mental health and so many things throughout this candid conversation. I hope you
yeah,
guys surely listen to this. I will save it, and it's going to be up on my YouTube channel as well too. So make sure you guys please catch the replay in case you missed it. Tomorrow we have Elijah Nickleby. He will be joining us tomorrow, and we're going to talk about art. So make sure you guys grab a glass of wine, your
okay,
canvas, paint, all of that. We're going to talk about that tomorrow, kicking off the new month of May, May 1st tomorrow.
yes,
So we'll see you guys tomorrow. And Bjorn, I would love to have you on again in the
yes.
future.
let me know. I am always available. I'll love to do this again, especially if you want to talk during the run of the show. We could talk then, and let me know how I can support you because I think what you're doing is amazing. And thank you so much. You are absolutely right. You create a safe space for us to just have conversation and discussion. So thank you for what you're doing, you know.
You are so welcome. Thank you all, ladies and gentlemen. Another Style by Stevie exclusive with actor Bjorn Dupaty. Thank you all and take care.
Thank
Help.
you.
Take care.
Have a good one, y'all.
You too.